Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Wednesday, September 13th. And of course, I'm your host, Jon Jeune. Despite common belief, I'm alive and well. Got my guy, Greg Pennamon, with me. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. I think Sunday night got kind of swept under the rug. A lot of the performances got swept under the rug because of Monday. So, I feel like you guys kind of just took over the spotlight for a little. I mean, that's what y'all wanted, man. I wanted the spotlight and the back page. So, I'm gonna just sit here and hopefully our team could get better. I feel very bad. I was very excited. I was a big fan of Hard Knocks. I mean, it was a great show. Even season finale, Xavier Gibson getting in, that was cool to see though, that story transcending. But yeah, definitely a rough night for football in general for all Jets fans, for Aaron himself, for Gary. The most heartbreaking story is him say Gary Wilson's story when he's like, "Sorry, kid," like telling him sorry because that man was about to go for 1,500, about over 100 receptions easy. Like, yeah, man. So I'm just glad you're all right, man. I don't know. I'm just glad to see that you're alive and well. You didn't spend the time to get a number 8 jersey, so that's good. It's not you. You're not the reason.
Oh, I realized it a long time ago. The franchise has had its run of bad luck, and I have nothing to do with it.
Oh, right, yeah. No, apparently Vinny Testaverde is like all over again. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is what it is. It was definitely a sobering evening, for sure. But you live and you learn. But Aaron, if you're listening, I got an Achilles for you. You can have mine. Just take it. But anyways, neither here nor there. Let's talk about some Thursday night football. Obviously, we got a Thursday night football game coming tomorrow. We're obviously going to give out our streams of the week today as well, and then jump into previewing the all the 1 p.m. games here. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it, man. Thursday night football. We've got the 0-1 Minnesota Vikings traveling to Philadelphia to take on the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles. This game has a 48.5 point total, where the Philadelphia Eagles are 7-point favorites. Greg, I don't know if you remember, but this game took place in week 2 last year in Philadelphia at the Link, except instead of Thursday night, it was a Monday night game, and the Minnesota Vikings forgot to show up. So, that being said, Greg, what is your prognostication of this game, and how do you see it all coming together?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Vikings to cover, but I'm gonna still take the Eagles to win the game at home. They get it done. But yeah, hammering these unders early weeks. We talk about the offense coming out slow. Like they came out slow, right, week 1.
Yeah, I am 100% with you, sir. I am going to take the under here. I'm going to take Minnesota to cover. I'm also going to take Philadelphia to win. I feel like 7 points, Vegas just wants us to jump all over Philly on this, trying to remember the game that took place on Monday night last year. But I just don't see it breaking down that way, Greg. But on the Philly side, I feel like it's a little bit easier, right? You're obviously going to play your Jalen Hurts. You're going to play your AJ Brown. You're going to play your Devontae Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I guess 2-part question here. Kenneth Gainwell was the lead back in week 1, in terms of touches and snaps. However, he's dealing with a rib injury, which makes him questionable. Last I read, he is trending towards not being ready to play in the short week on Thursday. So where are you looking in this backfield if you are looking for any production? And obviously I mentioned AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but Dallas Goedert, after putting up a 0, are you any hesitation to putting him in your lineup here?
No, he's a tight end position. You got to keep rolling with him. Tight ends are up and down in general, but a guy like that has got his talent, the things he's done for you over the last couple of years. I'm not panicking on him, so I'm putting him in there with confidence. I think the next running back to step up has to be DeAndre Swift, though, for sure. I mean, Rashad Penny was a healthy scratch last week, so that just kind of shows maybe their confidence in Rashad Penny. We'll see. I would think he would be upgraded to suit tomorrow to start to play tomorrow. But I think DeAndre Swift's going to be the first option. I still, Boston Scott probably would get sprinkled in there a little bit and Rashad Penny, but I think it'll run through DeAndre Swift. And I mean, the first running back, of course, is Jalen Hurts. So that's RB1.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, right? Like we could say DeAndre Swift for sure, but he barely played on Sunday, barely touched the ball. Rashad Penny was a healthy scratch. However, we have seen this happen before where they, a guy gets elevated or, was down the week before and is up this week because of an injury. And maybe they view Swift as a different type of player than Gainwell. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. So it really does make it difficult. And I think to piggyback off what you said, with Jalen Hurts in this backfield, like I'm willing, and I said this, on Sunday before the game started, having a conversation. I'm willing to kind of just throw this backfield away for fantasy, right? Like Jalen Hurts is going to take a bulk of those goal line opportunities. There's no, there's no guy that you look to and you say, hey, he's the guy, he's the workhorse. There's not even a guy that you say, hey, maybe he'll chip in 5 to 7 receptions, every week. So with that being said, if I had to take a shot on somebody, I would take the shot on Swift, but been there, done that, and obviously definitely an opportunity to get burned here.
Yeah, I like, Kenneth Gainwell had a good output last week. Got good volume, 14 carries. He was using the passing game. So if they're gonna keep that, the story you could tell yourself is that they're gonna keep that same mentality for next man up. DeAndre Swift has the talent to do both pass catching and running. I think that'd be the only one I'd throw out there to start as a low end flex.
Yeah, definitely. And then I agree with you on the Dallas Goedert. Plays tight end, has been productive. I'm willing to take this game as a one off for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely gonna continue to roll him out there. Now let's talk about the Minnesota side, right? I mean, last year in this spot, we expected Cousins and even Justin Jefferson to have a good game in this matchup. We thought it was a high scoring game. This was before we knew how really good the Philadelphia defense was. Darius Slay traveled with Justin Jefferson last year, shut him down. Do you have any concerns ahead of this matchup? Obviously, a guy like Justin Jefferson, I think you're gonna put him out there and you're gonna get what you get, regardless of the matchup. But any hesitation to put Kirk Cousins out there?
Other than that, it's a primetime game. I don't think so. I mean, Mac Jones did make him a little vulnerable. We talked about the weakness of Philadelphia coming into this year. Like they lost a lot of people on that DBs, on that safe, on the back end of that defense. So they did get us exposed a little bit on week 1 against the Patriots, who's I wouldn't say is a strong aerial attack. So I think there's opportunities here for Minnesota to attack them. So I could see Kirk Cousins being like borderline QB2, borderline QB1, streaming category, QB like 13, 14 around there. I think he's playable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why I don't think about this when we talk about Kirk Cousins, because I guess maybe I feel like it doesn't matter, but it probably does, right? Like the primetime thing is a thing when it comes to Kirk. Um, I still like him to finish as a QB1 in this spot. I mean, like we talked about last week with Mac Jones, I mean, 54 pass attempts, I think that was a way by design to attack this Philadelphia defense in the short passing game, right? Like you try to offset that pass rush, and it's hard to run the ball against them, and a short passing game is the extension of a run game sometimes. And so I could see Kevin Stefanski it's not Kevin Stefanski, Kevin O'Connell rather, and the Minnesota Vikings trying to make it, trying to attack this Philadelphia defense in a similar fashion. So I do see Cousins as a low end QB1. Um, if I have another option, right, like say
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love in the matchup against the Rams, is it?
Um,
No, Atlanta. Yeah, I might go Cousins in that one just because I don't know what the Atlanta offense is going to bring to the table, right? So,
true. That's
Anthony
true. That's a good point.
Anthony Richardson is an interesting option, right? We know
True.
what he can do with his legs. So if you are looking for that safe floor, I would probably go with a safer option like that. But I think Cousins, with the game being potentially higher scoring. I know we both took the under here at 48 and a half, but both these offenses are going to have to make some plays if they want to win this game here. So I do see Cousins as a potential QB1. But let's move on to his backfield mate in Alexander Madison. Um, I'm I think Alexander Madison showed last week he's going to get the volume in this offense without Dalvin Cook to be an RB1, borderline RB1, and a strong RB2. How do you like him in this matchup here against this really strong Philadelphia defense?
Yeah, got 14 touches last week. Got 4 targets in the passing game. Got a receiving touchdown, so that's good to see. Didn't do too much on the ground with those carries, but I think he's just warming up to the week one. Everything's starting out slow. I think you could throw him out there as I would downgrade him probably to more of a mid-tier, low-end RB2 for this matchup. Just because the Eagles probably be up a little bit. They're probably the defense on the D line is going to be stopping him as far as the rushing game. I think his damage will have to come in receiving. So I think he's more of that mid tier RB2, but he's still playable. I mean, there's no one that's going to threaten him as far as his attempts and his touches. So I think you can still throw him out there.
Yeah, I mean, he had 11 rush attempts, did see 4 targets in the pass game, so about 15 total opportunities there. But in terms of the actual workload, he did take the bulk of the work in this backfield from a percentage opportunity share percentage standpoint. So I will roll him out there. Obviously, you are going to temper some expectations, but like you said, you hope he can come through for you by way of the pass game. Get some opportunities there, and I think it's really going to come down to does he get in the end zone, right? Like if he gets in the end zone, I think he has an RB1 type day. If he doesn't get in the end zone, I think you're looking at an RB3, RB2 type performance from Alexander Madison, just because the matchup is so tough.
Yeah, I totally agree about that for sure.
All right, and then what are we doing with the rookie Jordan Addison? Scored a touchdown in his first game, had 6 targets, caught the ball 4 times, did run from a snaps standpoint and route standpoint did play behind KJ Osborne, but as he was on the field, he out targeted Osborne. Did see those opportunities there. Are you concerned in any way about the role for Addison, or do you see this as a good sign for him and his future production?
Yeah, I'm all on board for Addison. Good production last week. Scored a touchdown, showed his big play activity. If you're going to attack the Eagles from week one, I guess I would the passing attack would be the way. So I like Addison here. You can throw him out there to start. I think he's got the advantage for me over Osborne in this passing game, and also T.J. Hawkinson. You're throwing him out there as a tight end one.
Yeah, no, Hawk is definitely a tight end one. I mean, we obviously see the landscape of the position, and Hawk is talented, has a role in the offense, so you're going to put him out there as a tight end one. But Addison, I agree with you, right? Like, I think the fact that he played less than Osborne and was so productive with those opportunities, that's just going to lead to more opportunities and more playing time. So I think if anything, he's trending up. I feel like if you didn't have Addison, you kind of wish he didn't catch the touchdown last week, so that you could have a buy low opportunity here for him. But yeah, I definitely like Addison as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 option.
Yeah.
Let's jump into some bold predictions. I will start this one out first. I've got 2 here, which obviously the more the merrier because we like to parlay them sometimes. I'm gonna call my shot here on the Madison anytime touchdown.
Okay.
Plus 115 there. And then I'm also gonna go with Jordan Addison. Over 39.5 receiving yards. That's minus 114. If you parlay those two together, that's plus 282. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going there, and feel free to tag along, guys. But Greg, what about you? Anything that you particularly like in this game?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to hitting that under in this game, and then I'm gonna parlay that with a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. I think he gets in the end zone here, does what he has to do. He's one of the best at getting touchdowns in the red zone towards the goal line. And if you parlay that, that is plus 306. So I like that a lot. Kadarius Tony definitely failed me last week, so hopefully Jalen Hurts doesn't do that.
Yeah, that I think Jalen Hurts has a better chance of coming through for you.
Yeah. yeah.
All right, well, everybody, just a quick message. Just make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you're watching live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure you guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, make sure you do hit subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so you get those notifications when we do drop a new episode. We do have some. Go ahead.
If you even want to be safer, I've been doing this lately. First half unders, I think, are even safer bet because teams just start up slow in general, coming out the gate of a game. So that's, I think, more likely to hit and parlaying that with the Jalen Hurts.
Okay, there we go, Greg, with the strong analysis there. Let's go to the chat, man. We got a few questions here. So Antonio Lopez has 2 questions asking, would you guys do Justin Herbert for Lamar straight up? I have Mark Andrews. Also, would you do Amari Cooper for Zay Flowers straight up in a PPR league? I think I'm assuming both of these are on the same team. I don't like 1-for-1 trades ever.
Ever.
I feel like I have to be getting something. It's basically like, hey, I like your guy better than my guy, and it's I do get the allure of, hey, I get to back Mark Andrews here with Lamar Jackson, which I think is definitely, a fair thing to do.
But then he began Zay Flowers too. He had the whole Ravens offense at that point.
That's the part where you're kind of losing me here, because now you're gonna have like the whole Baltimore offense essentially between Zay Flowers and Lamar and Mark Andrews, which sounds great, but as I've experienced with my Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson stacks, if Lamar Jackson does suffer an injury, not only did you lose Lamar, but Mark Andrews probably takes a hit, and so does Zay Flowers. So you want to be able to, kind of diversify your portfolio here. I think if anything, I would try to see if I can get, if you're intent on trading for Lamar, I would see if I can try to get a discount, right? Because Herbert was drafted in most drafts after Lamar Jackson. So you definitely would be winning this trade, but after week 1, maybe the Lamar Jackson manager may be panicking, and maybe you could get Lamar plus for a Justin Herbert if you get a week one overreaction.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think if you're gonna do a trade, I do this one. I get Zay Flowers. I think he has more upside. You saw what he did in week one. I think they're already implementing him, making him the guy. And I'm fine with just keeping Herbert and rocking out with that. But yeah, Amari Cooper, historically always banged up. You know, he's going to get banged up like every game, it seems like. And then Cleveland Browns, that offense is just more based on the run game, I think, and their defense. So I'm here for Zay Flowers.
I do want to add, and I was on Front Yard Fantasy yesterday, and Zay Flowers came up, and I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh hey, let's temper expectations on Zay Flowers, but I do have to point out one thing: Mark Andrews was not playing, and we know Lamar has an affinity for throwing the ball to Mark Andrews, so I need to. I feel like I personally need to see what this offense looks like when Andrews and Zay Flowers are both on the field. As you know, Odell obviously continues to get integrated. It's clear Rashad Bateman is a distant third and will be a distant fourth. As this, at least that's what they showed us in week one. So I don't know if you buy Zay Flowers right now, are you buying Zay Flowers for what he was in that game without Andrews, or are you buying him for what you think he'll be throughout the rest of the season, even with Mark Andrews coming back? And I think that's what the question you really have to ask yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's take one more question before we go into the games here. It's a two-parter again. It's not a two-parter. He's just providing some context. Would you trade Jonathan Taylor? I'm assuming that's Jonathan Taylor for Waddle and Godwin. I'm assuming you have Jonathan Taylor and you're trying to get Waddle and Godwin. They say I have Kupp and CD as well as Breece Hall, Rashad White, and Javonte Williams and Christian Watson. If I can do this, if the person is willing to do this trade, I would 100% do it. There's only two ways Jonathan Taylor plays football this year, right? It's either he gets traded at some point within the next several weeks, or he comes back and plays the 6 games that he needs to play in order to be able to accrue a year to get to free agency. I'm more inclined to believe that he has to come back and play the 6 games. I don't see, and I could totally be wrong here, but I don't see a team being willing to not only fork over the draft capital that the Indianapolis Colts are requesting for Jonathan Taylor, but I also don't see that team then going in and giving into Jonathan Taylor's demands of $16 to $17 million per year on an annual contract.
Yeah, I'm totally with you here. I'm making that move. You have Kupp, so you kind of need some receiver help. You're getting back. He's getting back Godwin as well as who else is getting back as well? Oh, Jalen Waddle. Yeah, no. I'm doing that immediately. I'm doing that. No hesitation. Give me all of that. Christian Watson banged up already, so you'll have receiver depth. When he comes back, you have Waddle, Godwin, and you just rely on Breece, man. You thought Breece was going to warm up week 5, week 6. That man's here already. Like, he is here to stay. It don't matter. We saw he can kill last year even without a Poland quarterback, a Poland offense. So I think Breece Hall is matchup proof RB1.
And this in T-Zench is saying JT did say he's playing week 5. If that is a true statement, if he is actually playing week 5, then maybe I would change my mind here a little bit. Obviously, we know what a healthy JT does, and what he's capable of. If that,
Even with Indy though, he did struggle a little bit. Healthy JT. So I would assume like he have to come in. You warm up to that. You won't be really getting full production JT maybe to like week 7, week 8. Also, Anthony Richardson kind of caps his, I think, run production as well because he's also going to be getting some rushing yards too.
And the other thing is right now, if you're selling JT, you're selling him at a discount. If you are really intent on selling him, I would wait until week 5 when he comes back, at least plays a game or 2, or it has the prospects of playing a game, because then you're going to get possibly the most value. He'll be the most valuable to that point in the season than he was, when you drafted him, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the games. We'll jump back to some more questions if we have time. But before we jump into the games, we got to give out our streams of the week here. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go with my quarterback stream of the week. Baker Mayfield, man. I mean, Chicago pass defense, they didn't play great against Green Bay. Baker actually looked good against Tampa Bay. Even ran the ball a little bit as well. Don't expect him to throw, 3 touchdowns again, but I like him to have 1 or 2 here. He did have 3 touchdowns, right? I'm not making that up, right?
3 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, did he have? No, he had 2 passing touchdowns. Sorry, he had 2 passing touchdowns, but did have an 8% touchdown rate. Don't expect that to repeat itself, but I think if you're looking for solid quarterback play, a guy who's not going to tank the floor on you. Maybe you lost Aaron Rodgers, or maybe you're looking for a guy to fill in as your QB2 in a 2 quarterback league. I like Baker's opportunities this week against Chicago.
Yeah, no, I was definitely thinking about that for sure. I mean, we saw what Jordan Love could do against Chicago. We know Chicago's historically, this defense has not been good over the last couple of years. So looks like Baker can put in some work on this team.
Yeah, 13% rostered in Yahoo League, so definitely like that. Greg, where are you going this week?
I'm going Mac Jones, 19% rostered, and versus Miami. Mac Jones, and I think this is not only about Mac Jones, but this is really about the opponent. We talked about how he kind of succeeded against the Eagles. They were down. He had to throw 54 times and go for 316 and 3 touchdowns. So that's a great output for him. I mean, Miami's offense, man, is top 1 to me right now, and they're gonna have to put up some points. So Mac Jones is gonna have to put it in the air. They're gonna get blown out the door if they don't they don't put it in the air and get some pass attempts up. So expect another high pass attempt game from Mac Jones and doing what he has to do. And I think he's gonna give you a good solid output fantasy wise.
Yeah, I like this one as well. Miami offense is explosive. You're gonna have to keep up with them, and I think Mac Jones. We got a Mac Jones versus Tua battle here, Alabama versus Alabama. So yeah, I do like this one. For my tight end stream of the week, I'm going deep in the bag. But what if I told you could get Tua's second most targeted player in your lineup this week, and he costs you absolutely nothing? That is Durham Smythe, 1% rostered in Yahoo leagues. I told you, going deep in the bag. He's running as a tight end 1 in the Miami offense. Remember, they traded away Mike Gesicki. Durham Smythe used to basically usurp Mike Gesicki in terms of routes and opportunities here, but now he's got this role all to himself. He tied for the 3rd most routes at the position in week 1, was 2nd on the team with 7 targets, behind only Tyreek Hill. Again, this is a deep one here, but when we talk about Bill Belichick trying to take away Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, which basically that is the Miami offense at this point right now. Durham Smythe is someone I think is going to fall underneath the radar here, not just by fantasy players, but potentially even by the New England Patriots.
Yeah, he's got to. I mean, you can't. First of all, you can't play man on this team, and that they play deep zone. There's going to be holes in this field for a tight end up the middle, up the seam. So Darren Smythe is a good play. I heard his name a lot during that Miami Chargers game. So to trust him, he came through. So I like this play.
Greg, what about you, man? Where are you going for a tight end stream this week?
Going to Hayden Hurst, 30% rostered, going against New Orleans. Targeted 7 times last week. Got 5 receptions for 41 yards. Also scored a touchdown. Played a good number of the snaps. I think that should increase. Only 53%, but I think that should go up with the fact that he came through for Bryce Young last week. And again, keep going into that argument about rookie quarterbacks. Going to that tight end. DJ Shark's still a little bit banged up. I'm not sure about his status this week. It looks like, Adam Thielen didn't really get involved last week as well. So it should be, Mingo and Hayden Hurst kind of, leading this passing game right now.
Yeah, I like that one as well. Hayden Hurst is not the sexy name, but he's the effective name. Not quite what Wayne Gallman was for us a few years back, Mr. Necessary. But hopefully, we will find another guy like that one day because I miss using that name. I miss using the necessary. Myles Gaskin held it for a little bit too, from what I remember.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. All right. My defensive stream of the week. I'm going with the Houston Texans going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Again, deep in the bag, 2% rostered in Yahoo leagues. They've got a matchup here against Indianapolis where they're at home. It's a pick 'em. They did give Baltimore and Lamar Jackson some trouble last week.
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah,
There's some turnovers. Will Anderson, the first round pick from Alabama, is making his impact felt immediately. And I like them to go up against a rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson and force some turnovers and some sacks here. So Houston, again, 2% roster in Yahoo leagues. I like their opportunity this week.
Yeah, I love that right there. I mean, think of Houston's passing defense. I think that was their strength last year. And even in their weaknesses, Indy's not really going to threaten them in the rushing attack too much. So I think they can be able to stop Indy on a lot of drives and do what they got to do to force some turnovers.
Greg, what about you, man? Where are you going with your defensive stream this week?
I'm going with the Cleveland Browns going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. 49% roster, right on that cusp. They're already, kind of growing. And I mean, after what I saw last week, one of the best D lines in the league, doing what they got to do to force pressure, get sacks, get turnovers, made Joe Burrow look like it was bad. It was real bad. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him here, and I think that they were able to get to Pittsburgh and Kenny Pickett and force some turnovers.
Yeah, I like the Cleveland defense this week as well. Definitely was a team that I was going after. I also like the defense on the other side too, Pittsburgh as well. I know that they got they got a little run over by Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, but show me a defense that doesn't typically.
TJ Watt is a defense himself. Like he'll get you 2 forced fumbles, maybe one there, and that's points for sure. Some sacks.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, man. Let's get into the games. Starting with the 1-0 Green Bay Packers traveling to Atlanta to take on the 1-0 Atlanta Falcons. This game has a 40.5 point total according to FanDuel Sportsbook, where the Green Bay Packers are 1.5 point road favorites here. Christian Watson dealing with the hamstring still. Seeing if he can potentially make a return to the lineup this week. Did not practice today, so still concerning. Aaron Jones officially did not practice on Wednesday as well, and then Romeo Doubs, he's limited with a hamstring, but he played last week, so kind of expect him to play this week. Greg, where are you going here with the spread and the totals and whatnot?
I'm gonna take the over. Actually, 40.5 is a little low. I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Packers to cover, Packers to win. They're the well-coached team, especially Aaron Jones is good to go. Think they should be fine. Jordan Love is gonna keep having another solid performance here. Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm taking the over here, taking Green Bay to cover, taking Green Bay to win. I 40.5 is kind of low. Both these teams, they have talent. They also have some strong defenses as well. So that could contribute to the under, but I do like, Atlanta to score some more points potentially this week than they did the week before. Now, Greg, I'm going to ask you, Bijan Robinson obviously had the great game. But I think what was lost in that is Tyler Algier had finished higher, not just in fantasy, but if you look at the backfield work as well, Tyler Algier out-carried Bijan Robinson, where Bijan Robinson made his impact in the pass game. If you have both of these guys, are you tempted to play both? Are you playing one over the other? Is Algier flexible? I know those are like 3 different questions, but I need answers for all 3.
I think both of these guys have standalone value. Obviously, Bijan, this it's clear. If there's going to be one offense where you're going to start both the running backs from a team is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. They're clear on what they want to do. They're clear on how they want to score the ball and move the ball. So I think if you had both, I would make the argument to play both of them in this game. I think Bijan looked better. Obviously, all those spectacular plays, his juke moves, everything, the joystick craziness. So I think maybe they're kind of just warming him up to give him more snaps. I would hope so with the high draft capital they were giving. That just makes sense to me. But yeah, Algier is definitely a factor as well. So I think they're both in that kind of strong RB2 conversation right now until they get Bijan more snaps and more stuff on the field. But PPR league, he's getting those points reception wise, so that's why that gives him a slight advantage as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both playable. I think they both have standalone value, especially. We're really talking about Algier having standalone value because everyone's playing Bijan.
Everyone's playing Bijan.
Speaking of high draft capital, we've got two pass catchers in Atlanta with some really, really high draft capital. But not so much usage in the passing game. And obviously, I'm talking about Drake London. I'm talking about Kyle Pitts. I know where you stood when we talked on Monday. I am going to say I'm waiting on the pass game here. I'm going to wait and see. Drake London had one target last week. That's inexcusable.
He played like 90% of the snaps too. Man was just running and jumping out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was jumping, but he was running.
He was running. He was definitely running. Kyle Pitts was doing some running. Now you did say something that was interesting, and you did add a caveat in there. You said Dallas Goedert, you're going to play him. He plays tight end, but then you added that caveat. Man. You added the caveat, so which you saved yourself because I was waiting. You added the caveat. Well, historically, you know what he's done for you, right?
Yes.
So that is you're out there to not forcing you into not playing Kyle Pitts here. But are you giving it any thought? I know you don't have a single share of Kyle Pitts anywhere, Greg, but are you giving it any thought?
The only argument I can make is that for Kyle Pitts over Drake London, kind of like where if you want to play him, like Giant Alexander is probably going to be blanketed on Drake London all night. So that's going to be hard for Drake London to really get going. I'm more scared I'm more scared to start Drake London than to start Kyle Pitts.
And I'm with you on that, man. At least you look at it, Drake London or Kyle Pitts had the 4 targets, and you're like, okay, and there's some clips going out there like Kyle Pitts just standing wide, like just butt naked on a football field, and it's just like, hey, man, I'm here, I'm open, and it's just not getting the football. So, yeah, it's tough. I think it's an easier pill to swallow to play Kyle Pitts because, like you said, he plays tight end. But I would not be afraid to pick up a Jake Ferguson or pick up a Luke Musgrave or a Sam Laporta. I'm not saying I'm dropping Kyle Pitts. I know some benches are a little light and you might have to make that decision. But I'm going to play those guys over Kyle Pitts until I see something different.
Yeah. I think I agree with you there, and I don't think I'm ready to start. I don't think I would start Drake London in this game.
Yeah, I'm not starting Drake London in this game.
Yeah.
On the Green Bay side, right? Jordan Love, if Aaron Jones let's say Aaron Jones misses this game, Christian Watson misses another game, are you concerned in any way about Jordan Love and his potential in this matchup?
I think that does cap him a little bit. I think you can't say he's a QB1 prior for this matchup. Also, Atlanta's defense is not bad. They're good. I think they're going to be good this year. So without Aaron Jones and Christian Watson, I'm more seeing him as in that QB2 territory. Maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns, maybe close 200 yards. So maybe you could find someone in a better matchup to start over him, like a Brock Purdy maybe or something like that. So. Yeah, that's how I feel about him. I think obviously Aaron Jones is more important to him than Christian Watson.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it caps the upside of this offense. AJ Dillon I think is a little bit obviously we know he's not incapable of being a pass catcher. He's just not the pass catcher that Aaron Jones is, and so I think it does cap Jordan Love's upside. But if Aaron Jones goes and Christian Watson doesn't go, I still like Jordan Love to finish as a QB1. But if Aaron Jones can't go, then yeah, Jordan Love is going to be closer to that QB2, middle of the road QB2 for me. Dobbs. Are you still rolling out him out there as a potential wide receiver 3 if Watson misses?
Yes, absolutely.
And if Watson goes, does that change anything for you?
I still think he's in that same territory. Yeah.
And how do you treat Watson if Watson does return to action?
Watson coming back into action, I like him as a wide receiver too.
Yeah, I think just from the upside alone, right? He's got to be a wide receiver too. It's always tricky with hamstrings because you're just you're afraid that it could linger or it could re-aggravate it or anything like that. But no risk it, no biscuit. Luke Musgrave though, tight end 1 in your eyes this week.
Yeah, low end tight end 1. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I think he finishes like the tight end 13 last week in PPR leagues. If you do get Kelsey back, you do get Andrews back. If Goddard has a good game, Waller has a good game. I think that's definitely some space for him to get bumped down more.
Down. Yeah.
But then you got the random guys like Harrison Bryant that catches 2 balls for 5 yards and a touchdown. So if Musgrave can get up there, I think from a tight end is hard enough to predict. So for me, I'm going to look at snaps. I'm going to look at routes. I'm going to look at targets. And Musgrave has all of that as a rookie. So I think from that standpoint alone, I think you got to continue to roll him out there as a low-end tight end 1 option.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup. The 0-1 Chicago Bears traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the 1-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Game has a 41.5 point total where the Bucs are 3-point favorites. I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to cover. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win. I went back and forth on this game for many times while trying to make this pick. But Greg, where are you leaning?
Yeah, even though it is also a low total here, I'm gonna stick with the under. I'm gonna take Tampa Bay to cover and Tampa Bay to win.
Now, Justin Fields didn't have a great game in week 1. Are you trusting him again this week as a QB1 option?
Yeah, I think you gotta throw him out there, see what he can do. I mean, you drafted him to be a QB1. I think he's worth another shot here to play. Rush defense is going to be, is there. The passing defense, they have some good corners. I will see how it is. DJ Moore is going to be looked at a lot by Carlton Davis. So we'll see how it goes. I think he's more of a borderline QB1 though.
Yeah, I'm going to still keep him as a QB1. I mean, I just remember last year seeing in tough matchups Justin Fields and you're kind of nervous. And then he breaks off like a 60, 50-yard run, a 40-yard touchdown run here or there. So with Justin Fields, I think that's what you're playing him for. That's why you have him out there. I know there's a lot of stuff going around about the offense and some of the play calling and the lack of effort by some of the players as well. But this is definitely a guy that I think he breaks fantasy, right? Like there's no projection for what he can actually do when he gets on a football field, really. So
yeah, he still had 59 rushing yards last week. I think that's a good floor for him every week. So he'll still be involved.
Most definitely. Any interest in the passing game options? DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney. I know DJ Moore did have to deal with Jair Alexander last week.
Now he gets Carlton Davis. So I think he's a flex wide receiver 3 type of play. I'm not, other than him though, I'm not touching anyone else, I think.
Cole Kmet?
Yes, I'll touch him, actually. He's tight end.
He plays tight end. I agree. DJ Moore, I think, is a wide receiver 3. Mooney is probably a 3 or a 4, but I'm not trying to invest so much in this pass game offense.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet, very, very low tight end one, I think, in my eyes. Limited upside there in this offense. What about at running back? Anything you're interested in doing? Any interest in Khalil Herbert or Roshan Johnson?
No, not against this this first defense. Also, just in general, the committee just kind of scares me. I think they got like 3 as well with Dante Foreman as well. So, yeah, I'm not touching this.
Yeah, I'm kind of wait and see mode with this backfield as well. The matchup's not great. Relatively low total. And then you have the Justin Fields factor where it's like, we got a platoon of running backs. And then, by the way, we've got Justin Fields who's going to soak up a decent amount of those rush attempts there. So on the Tampa Bay side, Baker Mayfield, he's my stream of the week. Like him as a low end potential QB1. Evans and Godwin, in my eyes, wide receiver 2s with Rashad. They should eat, right? Rashad White, I know did disappointing game from a fantasy perspective, but the volume was there. Are you rolling him out there again as an RB2 or 3 option?
Yeah, I think you can kind of upgrade him slightly as to RB2. Chicago's defense is just weak in general. So Aaron Jones did last week. I'm gonna give Rashad White the opportunity.
All right, like that there. Okay, let's move on to this next game. The 1-0 Detroit Lions at home on the 0-1 Seattle Seahawks. This game has a 47-point total where the Seattle Seahawks are 5.5-point road dogs here. Greg, where are you as it comes to this lineup or this matchup rather?
Give me the over. Give me Seattle to cover, but I'm gonna take Detroit to win. Start off 2-0, which would be crazy. I like it there.
Yeah, another game that we agree on. I like the over here. I like Seattle to cover 5.5, but I do like Detroit to win this game. Let's start with the Seattle side. They had a bad showing last week against the Rams. Are you going back to the well with Geno Smith? And obviously, we know Tyler Lockett is banged up. Don't know what his status is expected to be ahead of this matchup here. But any interest in DK Metcalf? Are you going back to that well as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with this well for now. I'm going back. Geno Smith, I think, is playable, as well as the receivers DK and Tyler Lockett.
And what about the rookie Jackson Smith and Jigba? I know Lockett was banged up. That could have led to some of the opportunities he had last week. But then again, we both took the over. Are you any interest in him as a wide receiver 3 or 4?
Yeah, wide receiver 3 here. And then as far as the running game, Kenneth Walker. I think you can also. He got some good volume last week. He was efficient with his rushes attack. So I'm gonna put him out there as an RB2 as well.
Yeah, I agree on both of those accounts. I mean, I think Walker probably borderline RB1. My guy Zach Charbonnet was basically non-existent in this offense. Still think he's a stash because of what he can be if Walker does get injured, which he's been banged up at least 2 times before during this between training camp and now. And then on the Detroit side, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's locked in as a wide receiver 1. Your boy Josh Reynolds came through last week with a big wide receiver 2 performance there. Are you going back to that well with Josh Reynolds this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Watching that whole game, Marvin Jones did not play well. I think the age is starting to show. He's 33. I think it's time for Josh Reynolds to kind of step into that wide receiver 2 role until Jameson Williams comes back.
Yeah, that'll be interesting when Jameson Williams comes back, but I think Reynolds definitely has some wide receiver 2 intrigue here.
Starting both running backs as well. I think you
got to start both running backs until you see otherwise, right? I think naturally as a fantasy community, we want Gibbs to just take over right away. But in real life football, you need a back like David Montgomery to go with a back like Jahmyr Gibbs. I think there's opportunities here for both of them. It's tough, right? Because in a game like last week, I think they got to a point where it was like, hey, we can win this game. We just got to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. and that's why they went with that run-heavy approach and kept Jahmyr Gibbs off the field. But if this game does shoot out, I do like Gibbs to have his opportunities as a pass catcher. The thing is Monty's going to get those goal line opportunities, I'm sure, and that for that reason, I'll have him slightly higher as an RB2. Sam Laporta, are you starting him this week as a tight end one option potentially?
Yes, yeah, I am.
And then with all this, where do you see Jared Goff falling?
Yeah, I mean, with all this, I mean, with the high total, everything, I think he's a QB1. Yeah, I think he played well last week. You know, I think he's definitely improved with this team and this offense. Another year under his belt, so I'm playing him with confidence.
Jared Goff or Geno Smith in the same game?
Jared Goff.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think you know the situation is better. The matchup is slightly better on his side too. All right, let's move on to this next matchup here. The 1-0 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Buffalo to take on the 0-1 Buffalo Bills. Game has a 47-point total where the Buffalo Bills are 9.5-point home favorites. In terms of this game here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Vegas to cover the 9.5 points, but I'm going to take Buffalo to win here.
Totally agree with you there. All three. Yeah. 9.5 is a lot to give a Bills teams who I know you remember you were laughing on draft day about Josh Allen. Those are those games where you're right. Like, you know, you really take the high with the low with this man. Like, it's crazy some of the decisions he made on Monday night. It was crazy.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny because you're watching it in the stands and you know, it hits different. I feel like when you're on TV and they could show the replay of like what he did and what other options he had. But those two deep passes where he's just chucking it at double coverage.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you know, I mean, just defense obviously played really well, but they didn't have to put up all those like interceptions. It was crazy. He was handing them interceptions.
Yeah.
Handing them.
Yeah. All right. Well, no doubt you're playing Josh Allen as a QB1 though, right? Like,
oh yeah, this is the week he just goes 300 yards, 350, 3 total touchdowns, something like that. Crazy. Like, yeah, he's definitely gonna go crazy now.
Now, obviously Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 1. James Cook utilization was there. I know the fantasy output wasn't there, and obviously, you know, once the season starts, my takes are evolving, right? Like, he was my bust pick, and it was because I didn't think that he was going to get the workload that I think we want him to get from a fantasy standpoint. But if you look at week 1, he got that, right? It was RB1 usage from snaps to opportunities. Are you rolling him out there this week as an RB2 or an RB1 potentially?
Yeah, RB2. I wouldn't go, you know, too much to say a Bills running back could be an RB1, but I think RB2 is definitely in the realm of possibilities for him. So I'm throwing him out there as that. Yeah,
I definitely agree. I think he's got RB2. If he gets in the end zone, could definitely fall into an RB1 finish.
Especially if they're winning, like. And then I think after last game, you know, they maybe want to take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands a little bit more. You know, like let him hand it off a little bit more.
Oh man, this is crazy. I want to lean into this, but I can't. Any interest in the auxiliary pieces? Gabe Davis was practically non-existent. Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox both saw some usage there. But is there anyone that you are particularly interested in ahead of this matchup?
No, I'm more in wait and see mode with Gabe Davis and the tight ends. I think there's plenty of wide receivers out there you can start.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. On the Vegas side, it's Jimmy G is a QB2, I think. But after that, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, they're both ones at their position. If Jacoby Myers can go, you're probably going to play him as a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. Do you agree with any of that, or are you know, is there anybody else that you might be interested in?
Besides Jacoby Myers, no. Yeah, I think I'm sticking with him. Josh Jacobs, I like him. Throw him back out there. Didn't, you know, wasn't too efficient in the rushing attack, but you know, I think he's one of those guys that's going to be bounce back from his performance. We saw what Buffalo's rush defense can be attacked, so I do like Josh Jacobs here.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. All right, let's move on to this next matchup. The 0-1 Tennessee Titans traveling to LA to take on the 0-1, the 0-1 LA Chargers are traveling to Tennessee to take on the 0-1 Tennessee Titans. This game has a 45-point total. The Chargers are 3-point road favorites. Greg, I need to hear you on this one because this feels like it could be the weirdest game of the week.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm gonna take the over. Just the Chargers. I think they play a lot of high scoring games. Tennessee's defense is also not good. I'm gonna take Tennessee to cover, and I'm gonna take Tennessee to win. Yeah.
I swear I wanted to do that. I really did. Yeah, but I went with the Chargers. I went with the Chargers here. I took the over. I took the Chargers to cover, Chargers to win. Do you feel like Brandon Staley is potentially coaching for his job in this game?
I think so. Especially with the Aaron Rodgers injury, like this is a chance for the Chargers to kind of like make a run for that, a playoff spot, kind of. So, yeah, I think so. Just how the playoff game went, how last week went. I feel like this team should be better. It shouldn't be mediocre every year, like or just so up and down every year.
I legitimately feel like if they lose this game, he gets fired on Monday. I could be wrong.
No, I think that's not too bold, honestly, because you could have made the argument he should have been fired after the Jacksonville game, like letting that lead out.
I like Brandon Staley. I like Brandon Staley a lot. So this is this is weird. But anyway,
I was saying, Kellen Moore's in the building, like that's just a perfect transition.
Yeah. Oh man. Austin Eckler, that's the big news right now, dealing with an ankle sprain. I have seen the dreaded term high ankle sprain thrown around there by doctors on Twitter. Obviously, Joshua Kelly had a lot of production in the previous game. I think he is a guy that we talked about on Monday as being like, hey, pay attention to what happens with Eckler because Joshua Kelly could slide in to really being a high priority waiver ad. Any concerns there with Eckler, and how do you view Kelly if Eckler can't go?
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned about Eckler. Over the last couple of years, he's been banged up. Missing a week here or two, so it's possible that he doesn't go and play. If he goes, you're throwing him out there. Obviously, if he doesn't, Joshua Kelly, he had a great week last week. I mean, Miami's rush defense, I think, is weak this year. It'd be tough. I mean, we've seen this before. Eckler being out, playing Joshua Kelly with confidence and stuff, and him not coming through. So I temper my expectations here, and if he starts, I would have him as like a high RB3, RB2 upside.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I have him as an RB2 if Eckler can't go. If Eckler does go, I think Eckler is an RB1. I think you have to treat him as such. In the passing game, Keenan Allen, wide receiver 1, Mike Williams, wide receiver 2, and then Herbert, obviously a QB1 option. On the Tennessee side, though, any concerns with Derrick Henry? We saw the split workload last week. Are you going to continue to roll him out there as the RB1 that we, top 5, top 7 option that we've thought him to be, over these last several seasons?
So, I mean, I think there's been times where he's come out slow starts, and then the next week he just silences everyone and just goes out for like $150 and stuff like that. So, I think that snap percentage and that usage was real, though. I think Tajay Spears is going to have value. So I think he's more of I feel like I've said this last year too, like, Derrick Henry's more of a borderline RB1, low end RB1. He just goes off. So I'm going to wait and see. I think I'm going to still give Derrick Henry the benefit of the doubt and start him as a mid-tier RB1. But I think Algier is a low end flex as well.
Tajay Spears, you're saying?
Tajay Spears.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounded like you said Algier for a second. But yeah, no, I agree. Derrick Henry, obviously I've had my situations with Derrick Henry. We're not going to talk about that. If you want to listen to that, you can go back to the archives and listen to those episodes. But Derrick Henry, I think you got to treat him as an RB1. I mean, he's a freak of nature. All it takes is, this could be the day where he breaks that like 60, 70-yard touchdown run where he stiff
Yeah,
arms
man.
like 3 dudes. Chargers run defense is not that good. Historically, over the last couple of seasons has not been very good, and we couldn't even really see it last week because Miami doesn't run the football.
Yeah.
So you could have the Derrick Henry game as early as this week. In the past game, what are you looking at? I mean, Ryan Tannehill basically didn't bring anything to the table last week. DeAndre Hopkins, are you rolling him out there? Are you tempering expectations at all?
No, I'm definitely rolling him out there. I mean, 7 for 65 last week. That's a solid performance, especially for full point PPR. Wide receiver 2. I think I'm still seeing him as a strong wide receiver 2 for this matchup as well. Chargers pass defense was non-existent last week. I mean they did have to deal with a lot, but a lot more than they'll have to deal with this week. But I think D-Hop should get his.
Yeah, Treylon Burks is a little bit tougher for me. Probably going to be a guy that sits on my bench this week. I'll try to find ways to not play him if I can. What about your boy Chigo? I know he Ryan Tannehill just missed him on what would have been like a 60 or 70-yard touchdown. Obviously, those are things that don't show up on the box score. But are you willing to go back to the well with Chigo this week?
I think so. If you don't have any other options, but I think Luke Musgrave, Jake Ferguson, some other names I think are can be played over him. So I'm more of like that on the cusp of like high and tight end too for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment as well. All right, let's move on to the next game. Got the 0-1 Cincinnati Bengals staying home to take on the 1-0 Baltimore Ravens, where this game has a 46.5 point total. And the Baltimore Ravens are 3.5 point road dogs here. I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to take Baltimore to cover. I'm going to take Baltimore to win and make the Cincinnati Bengals 0-2. Greg, what say you?
Oh, man. Give me the over. Give me Cincy. Oh, give me the Baltimore to cover, but give me Cincy to win, man. You Joe Burrow versus the Ravens? Oh, man. Nah, man. This is it right here. Week 2. Week 2. Week 1's not Joe Burrow's week, but week 2 against the Ravens? Nah, this is this is food right here. Food.
Yeah, I mean him and Jamar Chase are somewhat of the Raven killers. Specifically Jamar Chase. Like we talked about, you throw last week's game out as it pertains to the Cincinnati Bengals. So Burrow is a QB1. Chase and Higgins are one wide receiver 1s and 2s respectively. Joe Mixon an RB2, RB1 based on volume potentially. Anything you disagree with what I just said?
No, I'm with you on all of that.
Now, I think the more interesting side is what do you do on the Baltimore side, right? Lamar Jackson didn't have a great game week 1. You throwing that game away when it comes to Lamar?
Yeah, I'm throwing that game out. I think he's going to have to make plays in this one. Divisional game. I think it's going to be a little high scoring. I'm throwing him out there. As far as the passing game, rushing game, I'm kind of scared. I think J.K. Dobbins is the most talented player out of the backfield. I don't know if I'm ready to start Justice Hill or Gus Edwards yet, unless you're really desperate. I think I would lean towards Justice Hill being RB3.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think I wrote anything down for this one. Gus or Justice. I'm going with Gus. I think just we've seen historically, if there's a guy here in this backfield that's going to see double-digit carries, it's going to be Gus Edwards.
Sure.
So I will lean there. We talked about Zay Flowers earlier. Are you rolling him out there as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3?
I'm starting him in my league this week. He was a stash for me last week. I think he's ready to be upgraded into the starting lineups. Even with Mark Andrews being back, who's a tight end one for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Zay Flowers got to be in the lineup this week, especially after production last week and the targets. I think he's a wide receiver 2 with some wide receiver 1 upside. Definitely need to see how this offense works as a whole with Mark Andrews back, but he's a tight end 1 for sure.
Yeah.
Are you trusting any of the auxiliary pieces in the Baltimore passing attack outside of those 2 options?
No.
Yeah, same here. All right, let's move on to this next matchup. We've got the 0-1 Indianapolis Colts traveling to Houston to take on the 0-1 Houston Texans. Game has a 40-point total where the Houston Texans are 1-point home dogs here. Greg, where are you leaning with this game?
Give me the under. Oof. The AFC South game, man. I'm gonna take the. I'm gonna take Texans to cover and Texans to win.
That's where I'm at. Like, I originally picked the under and Indy, and then I thought about it some more. I'm like, I'm gonna go the under in Houston, because Houston to me has the better defense, and that I think they're able to cause Anthony Richardson some more trouble on that side of the football. It's an interesting game there, I think. Who are you most interested to play? I know Nico Collins is a guy that you've been really high on. I kind of screwed us last week, but we don't have to talk about that. Are you rolling him out there with confidence as a wide receiver 2 this week?
Absolutely. The reason why I had Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley as one of the starts of the week, Colts pass defense, very attackable, very weak. I think this is a good matchup for Nico Collins and also Robert Woods.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nico Collins has wide receiver 2 upside. I think Woods has some wide receiver, 3 potential wide receiver 2 upside. I also sneakily like CJ Stroud here.
Okay.
Sneakily, I mean, somebody's got to throw them the football. He was not terrible last week, and did throw for over 260 yards last week against Baltimore. I think this game, like you said, Indy's pass defense is attackable, and so I think Stroud can make some plays this week with his arm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Dalton Schultz, any interest? Led all tight ends in routes run in week 1, but only saw 2 targets for 4 yards. Any interest in playing him this week?
I think you can throw him back out there just because the Colts, I think are weak on that back end. I'm willing to put him out there, and he's going to be the lead tight end, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm rolling him out there, but I will not hesitate to pluck a Jake Ferguson and stick him in my lineup. That's actually one that I've gone back and forth with him on my own leagues. Yeah, it's a tough one. Dalton Schultz led the team in routes, or led all tight ends in routes. Jake Ferguson did have the 7 targets, also played in a game where it was non-competitive near the end, so makes you think what could have been. But anyone else you're going to in Houston, or is that it? Oh, you said Robert Woods. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Robert Woods, yeah.
What about Dameon Pierce?
Dameon Pierce, I think, is a RB3.
Yeah, I think borderline RB3 with some RB2 upside there. On the Indy side, stop me when I've said too many names. Let's try this again. Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Kylan Granson.
I think we're done at Michael Pittman. I mean, Zach Moss is gonna play. We don't know if he's gonna play for sure, but he might be on track to come back. I think Deion Jackson had all the opportunity to kind of really get some time here, and I think he didn't do anything with it. So I think Zach Moss might be the only other player besides those 2 I put in my lineup as an RB3.
Yeah, I am with you there. I just Richardson and Michael Pittman Jr. I will wait and see on this backfield because I don't think I'm really interested in playing them. Anything else on this game here, Greg?
No.
All right, let's move on to the final matchup of the evening here.
Woo.
Good one, juicy one.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the 0-1 Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Jacksonville to take on the 1-0 Jacksonville Jaguars. This game has a 51.5 point total where the Jags are 3-point home dogs here. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the Chiefs to start 0-2. No, I'm kidding. I'm taking the Chiefs to cover, and I'm taking the Chiefs to win. Greg, where are you at with this one?
I'm going to take the over as well. Chiefs to cover, Chiefs to win, assuming that Kelsey is good to go.
Kelsey did return to practice this week or today. Practiced it in a limited capacity. They did also get Chris Jones back on the defensive side of the ball.
Love it. Love it.
So good news for both sides of the ball there. Now, this
potential playoff matchup right here. That's all I'm saying.
This was the AFC Championship game last year, right?
I think divisional because
round.
it was Chiefs Bengals. Yeah, Chiefs Bengals. Yep.
This was the divisional round game last year. I think Kansas City, it's really easy, right? Like if Kelsey goes, it's Mahomes and Kelsey. I don't think you can confidently play anybody else from that passing attack.
No.
Now, Isaiah Pacheco, RB3, 4. I think he needs a touchdown to be fantasy relevant.
Yes, I think I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't fall asleep all the way on Jerry McKinnon as well either.
Yeah, that one is interesting. He's a guy that I think was in starting lineups last week and is probably on waivers today.
Yeah, our league is exactly too.
So in that instance, like he's a guy that I would instantly pick up and just put on my bench and just kind of wait and see what happens, as the season progresses some more. On the Jacksonville side, Trevor Lawrence in your lineup, Travis Etienne, an RB1 in your lineup, Calvin Ridley, a wide receiver 1 in your lineup. Zay Flowers, we saw come through last week with some wide receiver 2 production.
Zay Jones, yeah.
Or Zay Jones, sorry. Zay Jones, I knew I was going to do that at some point this year. Zay Jones came through with wide receiver 2 production last week. Christian Kirk only saw 6% of the targets last week. Are you going to bench him this week, or is he somebody you're willing to take a shot on in the matchup with the high total and knowing what he was for this offense last year?
Yeah, I am concerned because Zay Jones as well. I mean, I feel like last year it was kind of like back and forth with those two. Christian Kirk had a little more consistency, so it's tough. I think I'm more confident playing Zay Jones based off what happened last week as a low end wide receiver 2 and Kirk more as a wide receiver 3 flex option.
Yeah, I think I'm willing to put Kirk out there as a wide receiver 2. It's like we saw last year when both these players were here what Kirk's role was, and he was, the guy. They did flip-flop back and forth, but like you said, Kirk had more consistency. So I know Kirk is a guy that was not highly drafted, but he was drafted to be a wide receiver 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I think you give him one more shot. You give him another opportunity this week to prove, come back on that draft capital that you spent.
How we feel about Tank Bigsby?
Did score the touchdown last week, also fumbled. I don't think this is the game for him, though. This is a Travis Etienne, I think, all the way kind of game. Tank Bigsby is somebody I think does need to be on your bench because he is an injury away from being the lead guy in this backfield, and I think that's obviously valuable.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Evan Ingram, tight end 1?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that will be all for today. Wish we had more opportunities to get some more questions in, but just make sure you come in tomorrow, 3 p.m. We were a little late today, started at 3:30, but make sure you come in tomorrow, 3 p.m. for the rest of our breakdown. We'll also give out starts of the week, and yeah, man, it's gonna be a good one. So have good luck, everybody. Have fun, and make sure you can subscribe to the show. Greg, anything else you want to say to people?
No, man. Looking forward to tomorrow and Thursday's night game. Gets the Jalen Hurts some prime time, and see hopefully another opportunity for Kirk Cousins to rewrite that primetime script.
Yes, sir. Let's see what happens. But guess what? We won't be recording while we do it because we trusted up our schedule, and it's the greatest thing ever. But anyway, guys, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one, and we're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.